Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimram, Jokshan, Medan, Median, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Lumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanak, Abadah, and Aladah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. So I really don't think that people pay attention to Abraham's second wife and descendants, because all you hear is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
That's repeated so much that you just forget that he's had other children here.
Yeah.
And like you had said earlier, there's a lot of names here that we're going to find in future here, who they are, and I think you're going to explain some of that, some of the names here of who they are and what they mean in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to the individual names between verses 12 and 18
Okay.
when it's actually going to go through the genealogies again. But right now, I'd like to focus on Keturah herself, because who is this woman? There's debate on who she is, and because it's an oddity, like you said, nobody ever pays attention to her, just like nobody ever. We only hear about Hagar and Ishmael as a roadblock to God's promise and what's, the drama there, and then of course the Ishmaelites, the Arabs that came as his descendants, and we hear about it in terms of the Middle East conflict a lot, and that's about it. But early Jewish commentators and the sages of Israel had interesting outlook on this. Now, not all of them agree. In fact, most of them actually don't, I think. But
well, a lot of this is theory and speculation.
yeah,
Correct?
it's theory and speculation. Comes from actually the next chunk that we're going to read, verses 7 through 11. But spoiler alert, Ishmael is going to show up at his father Abraham's funeral alongside Isaac. Now, call me crazy, but if I was put out, if I was told to disappear, I wouldn't show up to a funeral, the funeral of the person who kicked me out of the house, right? So how did that come about? That's where the first kernel of this thought dropped into their heads, and they started debating. Another thing is, we know that Ishmael dwelled in the wilderness of Paran, and Isaac pitched his tent, we found out in last chapter, in Beer Lahai Roi. And what's significant about that is, in the context of what we're looking at today, is that Abraham's up here in Canaanite territory, in
Beersheba.
in Beersheba, yes. Well, actually, that would actually be Philistine territory. because it's near Gerar. But he's north. The wilderness of Paran is southeast of that, a ways down there. And Be'er Lahairoi is kind of in the middle. It's at the southern edge of the Negev desert. The boundary, it's almost on the boundary between the Negev and the wilderness of Paran. Why does he go there? Does that have anything to do with Ishmael and Isaac singing Kumbaya, my lord, at Abraham's funeral? And the idea is that maybe Isaac went down there and conducted a family reconciliation mission. How does that have anything to do with Keturah? Well, Keturah's name is related to two other words in Hebrew. One is Keshura and one is Ketoret. Keshura means closed, and it's in the sense of purity and chastity, in the sense that when trying not to give up. I'm trying to build, but it's hard. So let me just come out and say, where Isaac is living, Be'er Lahairoi, we saw that that place is associated with a certain concubine wife of Abraham's, Ishmael's mother, Hagar. And the idea is that when Hagar was sent away, she didn't remarry. She didn't have any carnal relations with anyone. So she remained chaste. She remained Keshura. And because of that, along with her repentance sometime over the years, that she became like incense, beautiful smelling incense to the Lord. And that's the word Ketoret. And both of these words are related to Keturah. And the idea is that, Isaac went down, made peace with Hagar and Ishmael, and he brought Hagar up, whose name God had changed to Keturah over these years, and brought her back to marry Abraham and be a proper wife. And that's a beautiful, beautiful argument. If you want to listen to it articulated well, way better than I could ever, you can look up Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson's video on YouTube titled The Abraham Accords, A Biblical Perspective, in that he talks about this and he traces the source material through the Bereshit Rabbah and Rashi's arguments, and it's fascinating. The problem is that not every sage actually agrees with this, and I've found one kind of weak link in the argument myself in verse 6, where it says, "But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines," plural concubines. Well, who were Abraham's plural concubines? We only know two, Keturah now and Hagar in the past. So the fact that the Bible in Hebrew, not just in English, identifies plural concubines seems to prove the fact that Keturah and Hagar are not the same people. I love the story. I love the explanation because it has a lot of explanatory power, and it's nice. It sounds nice. It brings closure to a painful story with Hagar and Ishmael. But I think we can still get there to the happy conclusion without the remarriage of Abraham and Hagar, with Keturah being a separate woman, by just looking at, hey, Isaac did indeed go down south to the edge of the two wildernesses, and then we see Ishmael at Abraham's funeral. And in this verse, verse 6, we see that Abraham gave gifts to the sons of both concubines. That would include Ishmael. So I still see that Isaac went down and made peace with Ishmael, and became a mediator between Ishmael and his father, and made peace there, and kind of helped Ishmael receive some of the family wealth through these gifts, and that's beautiful. I don't need any extra intricacies to put a bow on it, because life is messy. We know life is messy. People are not perfect, and sometimes some things just don't work out. One of my favorite country songs is I can't remember who sings it. Shame on me. But it goes, some things you can't go back to because you let them slip away. And I think Hagar and Abraham, their story is one of those things where Hagar just let it slip away by causing trouble, and she was sent away. And time passes, and we don't see her ever again, so perhaps she passes away sometime before Abraham does. And it's just not attested to. It's just one of those things. What could have been?
You know, and I just thought about this, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. But, you know, how old was Hagar when Sarah gave her to Abraham? Okay,
Yeah.
and then, you know, she had Ishmael. He was 16 years old when Sarah finally had Isaac.
13.
13?
Yeah.
Okay. So Hagar is as old approximately as Sarah was, which means she would be over 100 years old having these other kids. I don't think so.
I mean,
You know, and it's like, you know, we talk about Ishmael and Isaac. I agree that Isaac was probably in communication with Ishmael in a sense because that was his half brother. And yeah, Ishmael probably was ticked off because he got kicked out, you know. But I think Isaac was the peacemaker to bring him together back to his father. Maybe Hagar was there. I think that's kind of irrelevant for the rest of this.
Yeah.
I think that Abraham most likely had a younger concubine besides Hagar, because she would have been, like I said, in her hundreds, or 110 probably. To have all these other kids, and you know, basically one a year, and there's how many?
Oh Lord.
I forgot. It was like
Zenan,
9.
Yokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, Shua. 6. 6, but then Yokshan, then it talks about the sons.
Okay.
So, yeah. So 6 sons plus grandchildren.
Okay. Highly unlikely, in my opinion, that, because it doesn't mention Hagar anymore,
Yeah.
which she could have passed away years before. We don't know. It doesn't say. It's all speculation. Even what I'm saying is speculation, that I would think that he had younger concubines in order to.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible doesn't talk about any other concubine either. So I'm even hesitant to say that. I'm thinking Keturah was probably a lot younger. So, because that, let's face it, for an older guy, especially in those days, for him to remarry, the idea is also that there's someone there to take care of him in his old age. So it's going to be a younger person, like you said. So yeah, I mean, she fits the bill of a younger concubine that can deliver all these kids. I mean, on the other hand, though, to be God's advocate here, the God that put a baby in a 90-year-old woman can also put it in a 110-year-old woman. But
Well,
did he do that? That's a question.
Isaac was 40, correct?
Yeah,
When all this
yeah.
when he married Rebecca. Okay, so that would have made and Sarah died at 120
37.
137
Oh, 127. sorry.
127. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would mean that Hagar would have most likely been the same age, give or take.
I mean, I think Hagar was actually a younger woman when she was given to
Abraham.
Abraham and Sarah. So I think she probably would have been. I don't know. I didn't do the math, but in
Yeah.
my mind, when I see her, when she was given to Sarah, Sarah was in her 60s. That would have. And I'm thinking she might have been 15 to 20 when she was given to them. So she would now be definitely approaching 100 if she was still alive. That's another reason why I think it's possible, but not. It's possible, but not plausible.
Right.